from Japan. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily good life meditation, an exercise that I do each and every day at about 6 a.m., run a little late today, to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use the time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with any challenges or opportunities of note that happened, particularly those that took me by surprise. Did I handle it well? Did I not? And how could I have done better, or what is it about when I did handle it well that allowed me to do so? Was it just chance, or was it through some machination of my objectives and principles? It's good to flesh that out and figure it out so I can do more better in the future and less worse in the future. All right, so welcome to new subscribers to the channel. It's good to have you here. Quick biography. My name is Kurt. I'm a 61-year-old retired American living here in the Japanese countryside with my Japanese wife. I do at least 2 videos a day. The first video is this exercise that is my personal journal, so you're welcome to join in if you like. I do not read comments during the process, but I do read and answer comments when I'm done. This video will be all about me, as a journal is. So don't be surprised. You can see Japan happening incidentally behind me, but that's all by way of circumstance. This is not a Japan-focused video. Keep your eyes open, though, for giant hornets. I've already seen one fly past in the early summer air. Also, a disclaimer, I do talk about sensitive subjects. I will talk about my own death in this video. I do that every day. That startles and upsets some people, so just to let you know that that's coming. And also, I do want to thank you dearly for your support. Those of you who watch my videos, who are members on YouTube, and who are supporting me on Patreon, you fuel the adventures that I do that bring the additional content beyond the Good Life Meditation and my Retiring in Japan videos. I do have an adventure planned. I have a house that you all picked, that you want me to, that you voted on, that I'm going to go look at out in the countryside. I was hoping to do that this week, but it's amazing how, and I've heard this from other retirees as well, how they state that once they're settled into retirement, they have no idea how they had time in their life for a job. I mean, I don't know where I fit a career, let alone raising a child in my life. My life is so busy in retirement, and I guess that just speaks to the way that life abhors vacuums, right? And if we give it a vacuum of no longer having the purpose of raising a child and the purpose of a career, life will find a way. So I had an adventure planned. I was supposed to do it last week. I was going to go do that aforementioned house. I didn't do it last week, and I didn't do it this week, and it's Friday, I think. So it's probably not going to happen. But I'll go next week. Anyway, as long as I'm on the note about supporters, I made a change to my YouTube upload schedule. If you're a member of the channel, you're going to get early access to everything. Because what I do is I kind of make a lot of content, so rather than bombarding people with 3 to 5 videos a day, because I make a lot of content, if it's a non-Retiring in Japan branded video, like a Walking in Japan, these are some of the other brands that I typically upload against. Walking in Japan, just wandering around. A Ban in Japan, Akiya, abandoned stuff. Real Japan monsters, giant hornets, snakes, stuff like that. And Lyle's Brother, which Lyle's Brother is just me pontificating at the camera. Any of those videos, I don't upload them right away. They get queued up back to 1 a day into the future. Currently, I've got a 3-week backlog. That will simply grow. The thing is, the change is that I set those up as just scheduled into the future, but I set the check mark, members get immediate access. So if you're a member of my channel, that means you're going to see everything as it happens. You'll be 3 weeks, eventually 3 months, maybe eventually 3 years, if I live long enough, ahead of everybody else. So you'll know what's happening. All right, with that, let's get started in earnest. I'm going to do 3 things now. I'm going to go over the last 24 hours per my notes. I'll talk about my creed, and then I'll go over my plans for the day. Let's begin. So last night and yesterday. Now, this section of the exercise is where I typically refer to the last 24 hours and look at my notes and say, what was it that happened that ambushed me, that I didn't expect or didn't turn out the way I anticipated, and that I responded poorly to, or that I responded really well to. Either one interests me. If it's middle of the road, then I'm part and parcel to my normality, and I'm not so concerned about that. If I've tuned myself to the point that I can handle something by rote operation, then that means I'm well conditioned in that capacity. If I failed or I succeeded, and it was something noteworthy, and I noticed I succeeded, then that's worth noting, because then it can help me to tune my principles, tune my reactions, make changes as necessary. Now, I've run into kind of a dilemma. I'm 6 months into retirement, and the dilemma is that nothing's really happening anymore that's taking me by surprise. The last big thing that happened was getting the traffic ticket, which was over the weekend, which I responded really, really well to. And if you hear me complimenting myself or flattering myself here in this exercise, in this video, please know that I'm just as apt, in fact, more apt to criticize myself when I behave poorly. But I'll call it out as I see it. And man, I handled that pullover and interaction with the police really well. And that was testament to, I believe, the daily practice of the values that I outline in my book, to make them, as I like to say, part and parcel of my normal daily activities. Basically, it's like rehearsing a karate move until you can do it, without really thinking about it anymore. And then when the moment comes up you need it, it's just there. That's really good when life becomes that tuned. And I'm not suggesting that my particular creed is all that. I'm just saying that any set of values that we align ourselves with and then train ourselves with will become, if we keep it up, and if they're good values, they become quite useful in that capacity, and they'll serve us well. So I don't have a lot of the report to it. It used to be, just as recently as 2 months ago, I would come to this exercise and I would have like 2 or 3 items as well. I really blew it with this. Why did I blow it with that? What is it? What could I have done better, right? Or wow, I did something. Here's something that happened and I did really well. Well, why was it? Why did I do so well? I don't have that anymore. It's not happening. This is my life. The worst thing that seems to happen anymore is a giant hornet flies a little too close by, and I just, whoa, that's it. Literally, and that's a double-edged thing, right? Because it's a blessing that wants to be at peace finally, but it's also a challenge, because if I don't continue to exercise my mind, because being in the fray of the challenging things that are happening is what keeps my mind tuned and my body engaged. Going to 5 meetings a day that I have to run, because as a project manager in my career, I was an enterprise level project manager, which means that I got the big giant projects. I would typically run 3 projects at once, and I would run between 5 and 7 meetings a day in a 9-hour day. I would run all of those meetings and schedule them all, lead the meetings, take all the notes, send out all the minutes, follow up with everything. That was hard, and these were big, scary projects. Look at something flying past. It literally came right along my sight line here. This is great. I love being here amongst the bamboo. My balcony is like elevated up, and it's like there's just this canopy of flying things all day long. I can just stand here at my desk and watch it all happen. It's just amazing. Anyway, that was really hard and very stressful. Sent me to the hospital. In fact, the stress of my career was so bad, and I'm so glad that I escaped that at last. Awful, just terrible, horrible. I hated it. I did well at it, but I hated it. But at the same time, it kept me fit. There was nothing and I'm still at it. I haven't lost it. I've only been 6 months out. I could drop back in and in fact, if I pop back in now, I would be like going in with a 6 months break. I'd be like rolling up my sleeves a little bit. Okay, let's go back into it. But if I don't do something to keep me current and keep my mind fit, as well as my body, then that will begin to atrophy. I'll lose my abilities, and I'll become, an old guy that can't do much of anything anymore. So I got to be careful. So this is all by way of trying to point out that I don't have a lot to say as far as challenges and opportunities, because I've removed myself from the fray of life. Yumiko and I talked about, there goes something else flying by. Yumiko and I talked about this yesterday, how the world just seems to be happening outside. And she was like, just because we paid for this place cash outright, our property taxes are $15 a month. Everything's paid for, the car's paid for, brand new car, everything's paid for, we're safe. And she was like, the world is like this thing that's happening out there. And she was commenting, at least we're safe here. And I was like, yeah, we're safe here. That's a scary thing, because being safe could make us complacent, right? I don't have anything to say because I spend most of my time here. There's nothing to write down. There's nothing happening in that regard. So instead, what I'm going to do is report on the state of things. And I have one note here: balance and purpose. Balance is one of the objectives of my creed. It's objective number 8. It is the consequence, and I ordered the objectives in the way that I did, leading with readiness for death, concluding with balance. Because if I lead with a preparedness for death, then my affairs are in order, my relationships are sound, and my life's work is complete. My life is in good order. If I finish with balance, then it's hard for things to clip me off. I'm right here reading Moby Dick. In fact, I'm reading right here. In fact, let's read the bit together because it's relevant to this. This is the chapter titled The Gam. And he's talking about the Gam is a meeting of the whaleboats in the mid-ocean, and the two captains will go to the one boat. The crew will mingle. The two captains will go to the one boat, and the two first officers will go to the other boat, and so that there's authority on each one. And he's talking about what it's like to move the captain from one boat to the other boat, because the boat is so crowded. The harpooner, and this is particularly on a whaleboat, the harpooner will be at the tiller, and the captain has to stand, kind of like, George Washington going across the Delaware, right? And he says, but because the captain has pride, the captain doesn't want to hold on to anything, so he puts his hands in his pocket. Or if his hands are too big, he'll put it aside. And he says, because his hands are so big, they're like ballast. And he says, try to imagine, though, the captain going across from one boat to the other. The sweet seas are going like this and trying to maintain his balance. And he's talking about how and actually Melville here, it would be in the narration says, and often you will notice that being conscious, the captain that is, be conscious of the eyes of the whole visible world resting on him from the sides of the two ships. This standing captain is all alive to the importance of sustaining his dignity by maintaining his legs. Nor is this any very easy matter, for in his rear is the immense projecting steering oar hitting him now and then in the small of his back. That's what life does, right? It's the damn projecting oar. Completely wedged before and behind, and can only he is thus completely wedged before and behind, and can only expand himself sideways by settling down on his stretched legs. But a sudden, violent pitch of the boat will often go far to topple him, because length of foundation is nothing without corresponding breadth. There you go. Going on, merely make a spread angle of 2 poles and you cannot stand them up. Then, again, it would never do in plain sight of the world's riveted eyes. It would never do, I say, for this standing captain to be seen steadying himself by the slightest particle of catching hold of anything within his grasp. So that's what, so I conclude with keeping the balance, because if we can keep our balance in our mind and our body, then we can be like the captain and cross the seas, the unsteady, the roiling seas of whatever incident is in life, from one ship to the other, all the while keeping our dignity. Okay, so that's all I've got to say for yesterday. And yesterday the reason, why did I feel like I had such purpose yesterday? It's because I was working. If you follow these videos, I reopened my antique store, and I moved it from being a platform-based store to a YouTube store. So it's all on YouTube. Being on a platform like eBay or Etsy or something like that is important if you need to be in the forefront. Like if you have a convenience store and you want to place it on the main boulevard so you get lots of traffic. I don't need a lot of traffic. I just need a few customers to keep me busy. So instead of putting it there, I put my store on my YouTube channel, where it's like a boutique, right? The only customers are really the people that incidentally happen to find my channel who know who I am. So that means I don't have to spend as much time on it. I don't have to have a lot of churn. It's a boutique, like I said. Like there's this one antique store. It's our favorite antique store that Yumiko and Yoko and I like to go to in Shimizu. You'd never be able to find it. It's not on any main street. It's down a little one-way street. It's in an old Showa era apartment building that you wouldn't even know a store was there. You see what I'm saying? It's a boutique that caters to the clientele that know it. That's what my store is. And the reason that I felt I had purpose yesterday was I did three things happened yesterday. I listed 4 items in the store. It takes a lot of work to list those items. The second was I had a sale. That's good. And the third thing was that I shipped a product. I shipped an item. And that took a lot of time. That took the whole day. I felt good. I felt engaged. I felt like I was working. I felt happy. So, true. I mean, retirement alone doesn't engender happiness. Happiness isn't freedom. It's alone. Freedom can certainly remove a lot of stress and remove a lot of the impediments to peace and happiness, but it isn't a guarantee on its own. It isn't a formula of itself for happiness at all. Happiness is much better gained through worthwhile engagement with activities that are in alignment with our values. Speaking from my book. Speaking of which, let's get on to the book. So I have 8 objectives in my creed, and I recite those 8 objectives in one of the principles each and every day. The 8 objectives, as I warned you, I talk about my death. The first objective, as I already mentioned, was to be always ready to die, which means I need to have 3 answers yes. Are my affairs in order? Are my relationships sound? And is my life's work, if not complete, at least in a clean and steady state? Are my papers in order on my desk? If I die right now and my daughter and wife go over to my little desk, are they going to find a scattered mess of all the important stuff? Or will there be a succinct, clear little pile where they'll say, well, this is all the stuff, the junk. This is the thing that was important to Dad. And they will, because the only thing that was important to me in terms of my non-parental life's work was the writing of this book. This book is my barbaric yelp. This is the thing that I said in life. This is the thing that I experienced. This is the thing when I was 22 years old, and I said, Kurt, you're gonna set out and you're going to try your best to discover something in life, something that's important relative to the values that you hope to attain. This is it. So it's all there. So yeah, the rest is all just, and I don't keep other stuff. Get rid of it all, so that there won't be any confusion. If I keeled over right now, my wife and daughter would find this. So they would say, well, Dad was reading Moby Dick. He had a few notes from yesterday. He was having a cup of tea. He was doing his video stuff. He likes his plant, his bonsai. And, well, this seemed to be important. And maybe my daughter would keep that. And pass that along to her kids, hopefully. So yeah, my life's work is complete. My relationships are certainly sound. I don't have anybody that I have sour words with that I need to fix anything with. And my affairs are definitely in order. If I die, my wife is all set up for life. If I die first, she's set up for life. She doesn't have to worry financially. So, and that's the main thing I'm concerned about. And if she dies first, well, I just carry on the way I am. So yeah, number 1 is complete. I'm ready for death. Number 2, the second objective is to make good and effective use of time. For me, that means being up at 4 a.m., well ahead of the day. Well ahead of the day starting. I've already done a lot of stuff. And because that's when the fuel, that's when the energy is burning in me. That's when I'm fired and I'm good. And if I can complete more before breakfast. I complete all the important work before breakfast even. And then the rest is just gravy on top of that. So yeah, I'm to make good and effective use of time, not to waste my days. I don't sit down very often, and I don't watch TV. Because it's not because sitting down or watching TV are bad things. It's just because they are impediments to my good utilization of the day. I don't have time for reruns. I don't want to just mildly be entertained. I want to be gainfully in processing. The reason I keep these 2 pens here is this pen here, the yellow pen, is for highlighting the stuff like in the preceding page. It's of interest. The pink pen is for the new words, because reading classical literature, you're always encountering new words. The word I just underlined this morning was gam. the meeting of two whaleboats. And it was great. If you guys know, I'm a huge fan of the eminent Dr. Samuel Johnson. Over here this is my library. This is all I've got. And all of these books haven't been read yet. I don't keep books that I've already read. I get rid of them. These are the only books that I keep besides these. In all of my books, I have a reading list at the back of the book. I keep these too. 18 books that I recommend for any person to read in order. These are 16 of them. I'm missing 2. And in that order. So I keep those. These are the only books I keep, the most significant and important books in my life. You can find them listed in the recommended reading at the back of any of my books. This down here, though, is my treasure. This is my 200-year-old set of the complete works of Dr. Samuel Johnson, England's greatest greatest oratory / literary mind. These are my treasures. So I found those at a used bookstore when I was living in America this last time, and picked those up, and I read them, got very delicate. What was so exciting and very few people actually are familiar with Dr. Johnson, but here it was. This is what got me. It says here, but what is a gam? You might wear out your index finger running up and down the columns of dictionaries and never find the word. Here it is. He said, Dr. Johnson never attained to that erudition. I was like, oh, wow. Melville referenced Johnson. The reason he does that is that Johnson wrote what is not the first English, but the most famous English language dictionary. I think it was in 1753. I came out with that. Anyway, Dr. Johnson, a whole other thing. So good use of time. Well, I talked a lot about that. Number 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, namely the creed that's in my book. I work on them every day. How do I work on those? This video. I started doing this video in 2018, and I've done it every day ever since. Namely, in order to exercise the tinkering with my creed, right? I started out, my creed now has 35 principles and 8 objectives. I started out with 8 total. It's developed a lot in the year since 2018. 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become someone who responds well to challenging situations, as I've gone on already about. 5, to perform good actions relative to my creed. My creed suggests that the most noble and worthwhile action is an action that promotes the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures, an action which I summarize in my own personal definition of virtue, which I define in the book. Number 6 is to recognize my true limits and true opportunities so that I'm not reaching for things beyond me. Like I keep trying to reach for this plant. It's getting closer every day. These bamboo are coming up, and they're getting closer every day too. That wasn't there 2 weeks ago. But if I can recognize what's beyond my reach, then I'm not going to be wasting my time trying to get to it. But if something is within my reach and it's worth doing, then I can prioritize it. Number 6 is to do just one thing at a time, or maybe that's 7. To do just one thing at a time, 7. And do that thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully. And number 8 is to keep my balance. Now, let's read a principle from the book. And what did we finish with last time? And all the principles and objectives are outlined or described in the chapter titled The Good Life. Oh, here it is. The principle of distraction, a very keen and important principle to me. I came up with this principle when I realized that I was distracting myself from the hard questions of life. Because, if we want to be an honest man or woman, we have to face life as it comes to us, right? But it's easier sometimes just to distract ourselves away and not have to face down the tough stuff. Here we go. So the principle of distraction includes a sub-principle, playing in the sand. And there's a quote here. What is the course? This is not my writing. This is Matthew Arnold's writing. What is the course of the life of mortal men on the earth? Most men eddy about here and there, eat and drink, clatter and love and hate, gather and squander, are raised aloft, are hurled in the dusk, striving blindly, achieving nothing, and then they die, perish, and no one asks who or what they have been, more than he asks what waves in the moonlit solitudes mild of the midmost ocean have swelled, foamed for a moment, and gone. Now this part's my writing. At every turn in life, we desire not to see. We turn our heads to look, not away, but towards something which might cause us not to see. The thing we do not want is to observe the emptiness which resides behind and before and between and within it all. We do not wish to sense the negative silence of the universe's apparent vacuum of purpose. We do not want to know that death is forever beyond the night time soon to come, which we can neither know nor avoid. And so we busy ourselves with school and work and family and friends and hobbies and interests and gossip and joy and sorrow and peace and gratitude and anxiety and angst and ecstasy and the very fact of the observance that we are alive. Anything at all will do. Anything to avoid the awful aspect and great indifference of a soulless universe without God. Yet more and more, I am less inclined to fill the empty with my own fearful, distracted voice, increasingly preferring substance to filler, though substance is harder to find and still harder to hold, leaving me often with nothing at all. But I am all right with that now. I am at last better without the distraction of life and death, which I know is not. Nevertheless, I continue to play in the sand, looking for sand, digging for sand, everywhere sand, like all of us, distracted by sand in our quest for sand. So much busyness, so much fuss and bluster, so much restless, apparent life. Yeah. Less playing in the sand for me, thank you. More determined, purposeful, purpose-filled living of my own decided and directed and hard-won life constitution. Okay, that's the end of that. The last part I need to do now is to think about the next 24 hours, and the only thing I have note is Plumber Wrangler. So the plumber will be here probably within an hour, and so I need to finish this, get Rudy and Ollie, get them leashed up, and the dogs, and prepare to take them out, and I'm going to park the car, the Jimny, down by the river. There's a river right here between, I think you can hear it flowing, the Yoshida River, and there's a place down there I can park the car, and the dogs and I will hang out while the plumber's doing his thing, because otherwise the dogs won't like the plumber being here. Let me read comments real quick, and then I'll finish. Hey, good morning, Sam. Good morning, Tim. Hi, Michael. Hi, Missy Boo. Tim says, the beautiful thing in retirement is the total control you have of your daily destiny and being able to do things, hobbies you enjoy that keep you sharp mentally. Exactly. Tim goes on, the big plus is without the stress of work anymore. Yes. I can't believe, no, I'm not going to go on. Don't get me started, Tim. Robert says hi to everybody. Missy Boo says hi to Robert. Tim says hi to Robert. Tim goes on. What's the painting on the wall, Kurt, behind your library? I was watching your video today when you went to view the house and noticed it, so you decided to keep it. Tim, yes, that is Our Lady of Guadalupe, which I decided to keep. So the previous owner was apparently Catholic, and this was her room when she was a girl growing up here. I decided to keep it, which I thought was suitably interesting to keep for a heathen like me. I just thought it was neat. Elvina. Hi, Elvina. Good morning or good evening to everyone. Well considered. Tim says hi to Elvina. Elvina says hi to Tim. Missy Boo says hi to Elvina. Missy Boo, I hope, says you all have a great day. Robert says hi to Elvina. Elvina says hi to Missy Boo. And Original Perry. Hey, I haven't seen your name for a while. Welcome back. Hi, just dropping a message to say I found and enjoyed listening to your Retiring in Japan videos while I work from home. Thank you so much, Original Perry. It's good to see you. Wow, thanks. Okay, interesting. Oh, you're welcome. And Robert says hi to Original Perry. Thank you, Robert, for always being the greeter of the group. You do such a nice job. You make everybody feel welcome. All right, everybody, time for me to stop. By the way, I do have this camera running here. It's been running for like 20 hours. I got it plugged in. I let it run all night. So I'm just gonna let it keep it running. Hi everybody. Hi everybody in camera land. Hi. And oh, is that Blue Tanuki? Hey Blue Tanuki, haven't seen you for a while. Hi Kurt and all. I just finished Moby Dick yesterday. I can't believe Moby Dick was Ahab's father. Spoiler. Oh dang, you ruined it for all of us. You are a fast writer, because I know, Blue Tanuki, you started it after I did. So look at, I'm only halfway through. You are fast. Good for you. All right. And it was good. It's good to see you here, Blue Tanuki. Take care, everybody. Be safe, but not too safe. Bye-bye. You can, and by the way, you can join us on the live cam. It's always running now, it seems. Look, watch out for Rudy. He makes his appearances. Let's go one last to Rudy. I always put his comforter out here in the morning so he can stay nice and warm. Yeah. Gerald. Hey, Gerald. There you are. Hi, Kurt. Just read your email. You can ignore my comment on live stream and ship everything together. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Gerald. I've got the two items you purchased. They're sitting on the shelf over there. The cup and the keychain thingy. And I'm going to go today to to see if the new tea is ready. And if it is, then I'll list that as well, and I'll ship it all together. Thank you, Gerald, and I appreciate your email, and thank you for sharing your comic. By the way, Gerald is a comic, like in the Japanese style comic writer, author. Check him out. You should share your link and information, Gerald, if you have a site. Maybe after the video uploads, if you leave, because this comment will disappear, Gerald. If after I finish the video right now, if you want to leave a proper comment underneath this one, after it goes to that will stay, I'll pin it to the top, and then people can come and see your stuff. Gotta run, everybody. Have a great day. Be safe, but not too safe.